A Connecticut judge is poised to decide whether a lawsuit filed by the families of those killed in the Sandy Hook massacre can proceed, despite a federal law shielding the gun industry from legal claims. Here with analysis is Wall Street Journal Law Deputy Bureau Chief Ashby Jones. Ashby, thanks for being with us.
You bet.
So this is just to decide whether or not this case can even go forward, correct?
That's right. That's right. The gun makers, Remington in this case, and the gun distributor and the place that sold the gun to Adam Lanza's mother have claimed that these types of claims are barred by this 2005 law, which provides, a federal law, which provides broad immunity to the gun industry for these types of lawsuits. The plaintiffs are saying, no, there are some limited exceptions to that, and we think this case fits into that. And
right.
So it'll be interesting to see how the judge rules on this.
And no one is denying the fact that the gun was legally sold, legally in the hands of Adam Lanza's mother. So none of that is on the table. But tell us exactly what is on the table.
Right. That's exactly right. There's no dispute that the gun was legally purchased, et cetera. What is on the table is the plaintiffs are saying, or arguing, look, these weapons were marketed as sort of combat weapons. They're military-grade weapons. It was irresponsible for the gun manufacturers in this case to even put them into the stream of commerce and make them available
right.
for widespread use, and that they should have known, essentially, that something like this could have happened with these types of an AR-15 type of semi-automatic weapon, and therefore this law should not prevent the plaintiffs from being able to sue.
Right, and the plaintiffs did have a little bit of encouragement from a federal judge in October, is that correct?
Right, it was a jurisdictional battle about whether this case belonged in federal or state court, and the judge at the time said, we think it can essentially move forward, and kicked it back to state court, but basically declined to throw it out and said, we're going to move this over to state court. Now it's in state court in Connecticut, and the judge there will have to decide whether or not it can move forward.
Now, have gun control groups in the past tried this tactic, and has it worked at all?
Yes. Gun control groups have tried to sue in situations like this. And because of this law, it's been very, very difficult for the gun control groups to move these lawsuits. This law does provide sort of broad blanket immunity to the gun industry. So there have been some limited successes here and there, but the broad precedent definitely is in favor of the gun industry.
Right. Okay. So what's at stake here? Let's say the plaintiffs do emerge victorious on the state level. Will this just keep going down and down? Could it go all the way to the Supreme Court?
Possibly. I think we're a ways from that at this point. I think in the immediate, even before we get to the question of who's going to win the lawsuit, what's at stake is this issue of discovery. The plaintiffs would really like to get over this hurdle, the motion to dismiss. If they do, they move to the phase called discovery, where both parties sort of trade documents back and forth. And the plaintiffs would really like to get into the inner workings of how the gun industry markets its products, et cetera. I think it would view it as a big public relations win were it able to get to that stage and unearth
make those documents public.
And try to see what the gun industry has been doing. The gun industry, I think, would say, hey, there's nothing to see here. We're not hiding anything. But the plaintiffs have a different sort of thing in mind.
It sort of brings to my mind, the sort of what the tobacco industry went through in the 60s and the 70s in terms of adjusting its marketing and advertising campaigns due to sort of public sentiment. Do you think that something similar could happen to the gun industry here? It's
possible. I mean, the gun industry has really, really broad support. Gun owners, those aligned with interest groups on that side, like the NRA, are very, very strong. It's a super strong force in the country. We also have the Second Amendment, which the Supreme Court has ruled, grants individuals the constitutional right to own a firearm.
But you don't think limits on marketing could be possible in terms of, hey, just don't show these as weapons of war in your advertisements?
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, you can do that. I mean, one of the things that you run into trouble with, and this has happened with other industries like tobacco and alcohol, et cetera, is, you run up against the First Amendment. To what degree do they have a First Amendment right, a freedom of speech right, to sort of market the things the way they want to? And you can regulate them, but it gets into, there would be lawsuits upon lawsuits to fight those types of regulations.
A tangled web, indeed.
Exactly.
Ashby Jones, thank you so much for that.
You bet.